were very, and it was schoolboys. I wasn't allowed to swear, and I'm a very emotional,
characteristic,
charismatic person when it comes to not getting in my way. Hello and welcome to this episode of Behind the Chalk Bowl podcast, where we talk to coaches, athletes, and everybody in between in the health and fitness sports space. This episode is brought to you by Self-Made Clothing Co. Use Titan at checkout to save yourself a little discount, and also sponsored by Titan Strength and Conditioning. So if you're looking to get into the best shape of your life, follow that page and get yourself some coaching. All right, guys, back with another episode of Behind the Chalk Bowl podcast. No Arlo today because she was just too wild this morning. So I'm here with a longtime friend. I've known this fella for a very, very, very long time. That's showing my age a bit. And just seen him grow into an absolute beast of a human being from a little child to this. Billy Gray, top CrossFit athlete and coach in Australia. Rugby union superstar back in the day. But now more CrossFit, man. So welcome to the pod. Thanks for being here. Thank you for being the first guest to buy me something as well, for anyone else out there that wants to be on here. I was
actually during the week, I was looking for a shirt from our CrossFit gym for you.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know they make your sizes in CrossFit.
CrossFit stops at medium.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotta show the guns up. Man. So we may as well do a little backstory on yourself. Like I said, I met Billy through his older brother. We went to school together. So I'm same age as his older brother, Bo. And I was friends with Bo for a long time through school. And then Billy went and done his thing. And then I saw you at a strongman comp. So
randomly,
Fill me in on that big gap.
So we went to school together. You went to school with my brother. And then I just went into year 9 and you were a bit older. And then when we were 14, my parents moved away because of work. And then I got 2 older siblings. They were 18 plus, so they chose to stay up here, Bo. And then Bianca, my sister, and I went down to Melbourne. And then probably I wasn't really, I played a bit of rugby, a bit of footy up here. I wasn't really into it too much. And then kind of moving to Melbourne, where rugby is so small of a community compared to here. So it's kind of, at the time, kind of just getting into private schools a little bit more. It was kind of like a good opportunity to be seen and then get a bit of exposure, make a little representative team and start to get some training going on. And then sort of once, I started to get a little older, a teenage, and started to get into high school. That's when sort of rugby took off for us. So did all my juniors with the Melbourne Rebels, so under 16s, 18s, under 20s. Lucky enough to have a few caps with Australian under 20s. So did some training profiles and training camps with them. And then even more lucky, I went overseas and did a few years over there. So
who'd you play for over there?
A club called Shannon. So it's in Ireland. So it's in Limerick. Man, it's pretty gnarly, eh? So lucky enough, traveled, played footy in all these different countries. I think I've played in I was tallied up 17 countries I've played footy in. That's cool. And this was all from 18 to 23. So just traveling, having a lot of fun playing the sport. And then moved back to Queensland. And then was just once I couldn't play anymore, and I kind of think you're probably in the same boat, had all this natural athleticism, all this energy, and all I've known throughout whole life is training and playing footy and playing sport and focusing on this. And I was I need something to do. And so that was all right, I'm going to start to put my efforts into sports until I find one that clicks, that I'm good at and I like. And then I'm just going to stick with that.
It was cool to see. Obviously we're friends on Facebook and Instagram and that for forever, but it's cool to see you go over there and from a little kid, a literal little kid to a fucking monster athlete, and then run into you at that strongman comp. I was this ain't the same Billy Gray. It's crazy how that does it in your mind. But what was that experience like playing footy in a different country for a different country?
So I was probably 22 or 21 when I first moved overseas, and when I was 21, I knew I wasn't going to play professional rugby, consistently. I'm talking for the Melbourne Rebels, go to the World Cup, like all overseas, making hundreds of thousands. I knew like that perspective hit me after 20s, after a couple like injuries, but I was like, there's a pretty cool opportunity to travel, have fun. I chose not to go to uni or focus on a trade or get a job. I was like, nah, I just want to milk the rugby career while I could.
Yeah.
And like, sure, if an opportunity came up or I was training as hard as I could to go professional, but like you kind of know where your limitations were at by that age, you know, especially like under 20s Australia, all my mates are getting signed. Yeah. And then I bombed out because of an injury and I was like, okay, I'll probably miss that window in Australia. So let's go overseas. I'd say the coolest thing is just seeing different cultures, man. Like how, you know, obviously I'm in that rugby circle. So how they approach their training, how they approach their off seasons, trying to learn as much as you can. Like even they play a different brand of footy over there. Like, right. Know, we're a bit more Polynesian based. We got that flair. We like to run the footy because it's summer over here, or it's a bit drier over here. Yeah. And then you get over there, man, you got these Irish farming white boys who just run at you in the wet, man, fucking, you know.
Big boys,
holy shit, man. Yeah. So very quickly, like I had to go from being this small dude to like trying to smack on this muscle to try and keep up with those tough boys over there. Yeah. It was pretty cool. Man.
I have heard that rugby's a little bit different over there because I had this conversation with a previous guest because he's a rugby league fan, and we were talking about like the difference between rugby league and rugby union. Whereas like rugby union, especially over in Europe, is the gentleman's sport, and it's a bit more posh and a bit nicer and that. Yeah. Whereas rugby league is a bit dirtier. Do you reckon that is because rugby league is a bit more Australian made as opposed to that, but that culture of our footy to Europe footy? Do you reckon that's why it's a little bit different and a little bit flashier?
Yeah, there's so many options here to play sport. Yeah, like you play league, play AFL, you can play union, you can play, you know, soccer, whatever it is. Over there, like especially in Ireland or in the UK, it's close to their main sport. Like I know, obviously soccer, footy, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Like I'm not talking about that, but in terms of oval shaped balls, like that's their number one sport, and it's in the schools. And so like the quality of player over there is a lot higher than over here. Yeah, and that's something that like in terms of a skill set. Their skill set is so high overseas. Yeah, right. Like passing, you know, on the dime every bit, kicking, incredible. And you come over here and we're just natural athletes. Yeah. You know, there's Polynesians or there's, you know, like tough white boys over here. I get it. But and under 16s, man, I'm running up against grown men over here. Yeah. But over there, you got skill set. Like they play a lot more of the good, like of good footy from a young age. And that was my shock when I went over there when I was 21. I'm just used to big poly boys over here putting on your back, you know, or even being able to use them when they're on your team. You know, it's just so different. Like it's very physical over here, big contact, big collisions. Yeah. But over there, it's so technical.
Yeah, I've noticed that watching it myself. You probably don't know because you're younger, but Aquinas was a rugby union school. Yeah. So I played 2 years of rugby union when I was grade 8 and 9. Because we didn't have a rugby league team. And then that's when they brought Confro back.
Yeah, that's right.
When I was in grade 10. So I sucked at rugby union, man. I was I had...
That's surprising though, because I'd say you'd be a perfect prop.
I was a perfect prop. I was a perfect prop, but I didn't know the rules. Because I played rugby league from when I was 4, man. That's all I've known from 4 till, how old are you in grade 9? 8, 13.
Yeah, 13, 14.
Yeah. So 10 years of rugby league. I knew what rugby union was, but I didn't know the rules. I didn't know what... Yeah. What I kept getting tripped up on was the difference between a ruck and a maul. Yeah. So I'd go in and try and do a ruck, but it's actually a maul. So then I get... And then because the refs then were very... And it was schoolboys. I wasn't allowed to swear. And I'm a very emotional...
Characteristic.
Charismatic person when it comes to not getting my way. Yeah. And I'd get penalised and I'd just, fuck. And then... I'd get yellow carded or I'd get a penalty or too many penalties.
It's surprising, man, because like...
it put a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth, I'm not going to lie, because I was like, well, fuck, I'm too stupid to play this sport.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. But like some of the best rugby union players I know, even now, playing for the Wallabies, grew up playing league.
Yeah, right.
And like, because if you think league... very square, very straight line, very turn the player's hips, play out the back blocks, whatever you want to call it. Where rugby union, if you grow from a kid, you realize a lot of people go sideways.
Yeah.
And when there's kicking involved, or when there's, there's no, you don't get that 10 meters advantage to run onto the footy in league. Like, you've got to create your own depth in union. Yeah. So like a lot of league players that come across late, they realize all their life they've been running straight in hard lines, and that's all they know. And then they do it, and then it tears up rugby league.
Yeah.
Like
one of my best memories, I just got back on the field. Remember Legs? The teacher Legs?
No.
Mr. Lanier? The big hippie fella?
No.
Anyway, he was the rugby union coach.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget him. He's like, I could tell him out because I'm not going to get him in trouble, but he's like, you got to stop fucking around out there. Like, come on, you're a good player. You know how to run the ball. If you hit this line, you pick the ball up and run. You'll go. Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. I picked the fly half up by the scruff of his shirt. And scored a try. Yeah. Like when I actually cracked on, but I got a lot of respect for union. I love the scrums the most. Yeah. Because what position did you play?
Oh, I was a fly half, bro. Yeah. That's talking about like evolution of body types.
Yeah.
Like, now with my body, I'd probably be a back row. Yeah. Right. Or more of a center shape now. But like,
I was quite tall too. How tall?
Yeah. 6'2".
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a scrawny little fly half when I played.
Yeah. Wow.
Probably that dude you picked up.
He was not a big kid.
Yeah.
And I was a big 14-year-old. Like, not small.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just as hard. It's probably because I've only played in Australia. But actually, now that I'm thinking about it, when I watch like Australian rugby union, like the Wallabies versus the All Blacks, it's a lot faster pace and a lot bigger hits as opposed 100%. To them versus like France or something where it's a bit slower and a bit more methodical.
And do you know the thing that people don't think about, or I don't think gives them enough credit, is the weather.
Yeah.
Man, like miserable overseas, bro. Like, I know we get bad winters here, and I grew up playing in Melbourne, so it's still a little colder and fresher and a bit wetter than, well, maybe not a bit wetter than up here, but like,
not right now.
Yeah. Overseas, it's all like that all the time. Yeah. And like, unless you've lived over there or been there consistently, there's no one's like playing that down. It's literally every game is wet weather footy. And you think about where most World Cups are played, or most top end matches, is Northern Hemisphere. Yeah. And that's why, And then because you're forced the wet weather to be more technical, to be more tactical, you got to be more accurate with everything. Yeah. Those kids are playing that type of footy from like 18 or younger, probably like 16, where kicking's big, especially in union, set piece, like scrums and lineouts. Yeah. And then when you get up to that test match, like Wallabies versus France or any Northern Hemisphere team, these kids have been playing that type of footy already since they were 16.
So that explains why we're so shit.
We
No, I remember back in the day it was pretty good. But that makes a lot more sense now that you think about it, because here, when you grow up, you're playing footy, especially while I grew up on the Gold Coast and playing footy here. I'd love the wet weather day because you could slide everywhere, like
more physical, everything's a bit closer, so there's more contact, more collisions.
You can't you'd have it usually spread side to side. You got to spread side to side during the dry. Yeah. But wet, the wingers come in, the centers come in, everyone gets a bit tighter because the ball's wet.
Yeah. But not running as much.
Yeah. What was the hardest team you versed, you reckon?
Hardest team? Oh, so... well, it depends.
What was the highest level you got to?
Highest played, I have a few caps for Australian under-20s. So we played All Blacks under-20s.
Fuck that.
So that is awesome, though. Like, my first match against them came off the bench. And, man, I was throwing up out the back. I was so nervous. And I wasn't even... I'm honest about this now. I wasn't even first selected for that under-20s team. I was the outer training squad. Yeah, right. And then what would essentially happen is the under-20s representative season would work parallel back then with the Super Rugby season. Oh, okay. So the best under-20s players may already be playing Super Rugby. Yeah, right. And if their team needed them, the team would take priority. Okay. And then there would be an under-20s Rugby World Cup. And when the World Cup comes, all those under-20 players would come back into the squad. So I knew there was a few boys who were playing Super Rugby, and I was like, this is my opportunity now. Okay. I get to come in. I've been selected by an awesome opportunity. I know they're off doing their things, but I can get some time now around these coaches. Yeah. And I obviously did well enough in training. They're like, we'll put you on the bench. Yeah. And then, had
That's still a huge achievement, man. Getting the bench for a World Cup side, if you're not, if you feel you're not a great player, that's still huge, regardless of where you are. That's massive, man. Do you still have the jersey?
Sitting at home.
Cool.
Yeah, collecting dust. Yeah. I say there's two types of people who play rugby. There's rugby players, people born for the sport, man. Like I'm like they're not athletes at all. They're just rugby boys. Yeah. And then there's good athletes that choose to play rugby. Yeah. And I fell into that category. Like I could run, I could, pick things up quickly. I was coordinated, could kick, could pick up anything really quickly. And then, if training was at 2, I'm there at 1 practicing stuff. Yeah. And that's how I earned my way into representative teams. Yeah. And then you got these players, like you look at the best rugby league player in the world, Cameron Smith, you hear stories about him. Training's at 2, he's there at 2:05. Yeah, right. He couldn't bench press his body weight to save his life or squat or do these things, but he's just naturally a footy player, man. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. And I was well ahead of where others were at athletically when I was 18. Yeah. And that's what got me to where I got in rugby. Yeah. And I knew that. And we were talking about before the podcast, but like my old man has a big training background and knew a lot about like how to put on weight, put on muscle, being functional in the gym, especially like strength training. So from when I was 16 to 18, I finished my under 16 representative team. I took off like a year and a half of playing representative footy and I just focused on club and having fun. Yeah. But all my priority was improving my athleticism, putting on muscle, getting faster, becoming more agile, upping my skills a little bit. And then when I came back when I was schoolboy level, that helped me get ahead of other kids who weren't physically prepared for that.
Or putting in that extra effort by the sound.
Especially in Australia when...
We're a lazy culture.
100%. And to put it this way, I was a skinny white boy. Yeah. Playing against grown Polynesian boys. And I knew that I needed to close that gap physically or be more physically prepared to if I wanted to be better than someone. Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard. I went the opposite way. I got to like 18 and I was like, I think I've like hit my cap of how big I can get. I was never getting any taller. Yeah. And just going up, same thing, going up against big Polynesian boys is not fun, man. Anyone that plays a contact sport knows getting hit by a big poly boy is one of the...
And it's not racist the same, man. Like, people look at that, frown upon it. It's the truth.
They're just bigger.
Yeah, they are. They're 100%.
But it's the same in all sports. Now, like, one of the best strongmen to come out of Australia is Rongo Keane. He calls himself the Warrior. He's a big Maori boy. He's just massive. He's like 6'3", 6'4", 145, 150 kilos.
Yeah, especially at a young age.
He's just strong.
At a young age too, like I feel like as a stereotype, they develop early. Yeah. And they're just bigger, faster, and it's their culture. Yeah.
Especially in rugby, especially in rugby. Like I got a lot of close Maori mates, and the way they talk about the All Blacks is like it's to be admired because like we don't talk about the Wallabies like that. No. Like the All Blacks to them are like gods. And it's how was it to go against the haka? Did they do the haka?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I remember one of my mates is still playing. God knows how, but he's playing for Scotland now. He's a Tongan boy. Grew up in Australia, but he has some heritage in Scotland. His name's Sione Tuipulotu. He was my best mate.
That's impressive that you can say like that.
Yeah. Well, he was my best mate growing up. Like, man, we had like such a funny relationship. But yeah, overall, rugby, he was my best mate. And I remember like he would always quietly motivate me, quietly like tell me I need to be doing this. And he helped me out so much in my rugby career. And I was standing next to him facing the haka. That's cool. It's hard to describe, man. Like, because like probably similar to you, I've been around Pacific Islanders my whole life. Like at my 21st, the boys gave me a haka. My rugby boys gave me a haka.
That's cool.
Like it was awesome. It was cool cultural, praise that they gave me. It was I was super humbled and but at 20 to be facing that, it was I was crying, man. Like if you don't know why, you're not like you're just adrenaline. Excited. Yeah, this is all you've looked up to. Like I've trained my whole life for this moment. And I was just standing there.
Dude, it's giving me goosebumps. I'm not even doing it.
Grown men, bro. A little 20, but like you're still grown at that point.
They're grown at 15, bro.
Yeah. And you just standing next to it was awesome.
The haka is one of the things I hold it in high regard because I love seeing it and I love learning about it and like the different types and why they say different words and all that kind of stuff. Like Jacob, who trained at Empire, him and a few of the other Maori boys that we worked with did it on an Anzac Day. Yeah. And like there's nothing. Like we're out in the middle of the Australian desert. It's not a big football match. It's just absolute respect to those before us, and to see it like that up close and personal. It was only 7 or 8 dudes, but I was like, this is fucking awesome, man. Like, and they didn't really pre-plan it. Like they didn't practice it. They just know it. Like they just got up and they did it. I was like, this is so fucking cool to watch and so rich.
Shows you how untapped Australia is with our cultural background.
Oh yeah, man. Like,
with that going down that path.
Yeah.
But, you know, like I remember when at my 21st, man, it was indoors.
Yeah.
You know, like you're at this club.
Yeah.
You know, like we're in a function room, but there's also other people partying at the back, you know, and then it just like, oh man, it was, and everybody just sits there in awe over it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cool.
And that's what it does, man. I think I said this on another one, but I went to the Rugby League World Cup, and it was the the Kiwis versus England in the semi-final at Suncorp, and the seats that I had were pretty good. We're right behind the goalpost, but we're right behind the New Zealand goalpost, like where they were defending, and they did the haka there. Yeah, and like Suncorp's packed at the World Cup.
It's silent,
dead silent.
Yeah,
and all you can hear is them slapping on their arms, their legs, and I was just like, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. And I had the privilege of sitting behind the New Zealand girls.
Oh yeah,
they just lost to Australia, the Gillaroos, but they were right in front of us, and I was like, and they were just full respect just to them.
Yeah,
like I was like, it's something that I really want to see the All Blacks do, like the big All Blacks do it. Yeah, in real life. Just I don't know why, but it's just something that I love it. I don't know.
It's it was pretty humbling to like be a part of. It gets you so fired up.
Oh, you would.
Like I said, you're sitting there, you can't even control your emotions. You're twitching. You're so excited to play, and it like they say. Oh, I've heard so many people say like the match is won when they perform the haka, because for them they're so spiritually like put into that mindset of that like performance zone. Yeah, like it's they start the game so strong because of it, man. Yeah. But even the flip side, like. Especially in Australia with how multicultural we are and how you're in the sport of rugby too, you're probably playing with someone who has a relationship to a Māori person who has, like for example, there was boys in our under 20s with Kiwi heritage, and they could tell like they knew haka, they grew up in it, and they were facing it playing for Australia, and it was like it was cool, man. It was awesome.
I wonder what that would feel like you're on the opposite side, but you want it like. Would they want to be on that side, or like are they happy that they're on this side? Like it'd be hard, but
there's a rule in world rugby that once you live in a country for 3 years, you can claim your like rugby passport for that country. So that's why you'll see so many Pacific Islanders playing for like Ireland or England or it's like they go across and they've done their time, they've earned the right to play for that country. Like for example, my mate, Scotland, and every now and then, depending on the match, they may perform a haka back to New Zealand. Yeah, if you watch some of the matches. Yeah, cool. Especially because New Zealand also have the Māori All Blacks, so like the team underneath who like their heritage, and I'm not too sure on like what qualifies for you to play for that, but if you watch their matches when they go around and play the international teams, they some of the players haka back if that's their heritage. It's pretty cool, man.
That whole. It's more than a game to Maori boys. Yeah. Like it even like rugby league starting to come that way a little bit more as well. Like with the Kiwis, like they're starting to like bring it up another level.
But it's the hard thing about Australia is, like I said before, man. There's just so many sports. There's too much
sport for choice.
And if you're and unfortunately, like AFL's dominating the space, killing it, man. And there's so many good athletes in there. Yeah. Or even take AFL out of it, rugby league versus rugby union. If we were to put those two together, and our selection capability, we'd be the best team in the world. Yeah. Hands down. I think we'd be better than New Zealand. Yeah. We'd dominate the space, but because all our athletes are choosing to play in rugby league because it's a Australian sport, there's more money in it, there's a better lifestyle. Like that's probably where all the talent is right now. More money? I think, 100%.
As opposed to Australia,
you have to play international at the international level or go overseas to make money. In
so rugby. Like the Reds and the Waratahs isn't great.
So they'll have, this is from my understanding when I was in the system, so you have a salary cap per player, which is ridiculously low. for those franchises, especially if they're independently owned. And then you can get contracts with the ARU, which is the Wallabies or Australian Rugby Union.
Right.
Yeah. And so you may only have a contract of like $50K for the Rebels, but then you might have an unlimited contract with the ARU, like $1 million or, but you need that contract with the ARU to make good money. And that's what's hard you're talking back then, 5 teams in Australia to make. Yeah. And you're talking 40 to 50 a squad. Yeah. But you go to rugby league, you got 16 teams, 50 a squad. Well, whatever it is. Yeah. So you have 15 to 17 teams that you can be chosen for. Contracts under 20s are traveling with the big dogs because you're not going internationally. So there's much better grassroots for that.
Fair enough. Hopefully that changes, because it'd be cool to see the Wallabies get back to a more they did all right this year, but
it's not. Rebels just went into recession. Like the Rebels are going to go under.
That sucks.
And they already combined with Western Force a couple of years ago. That's when I was there, and now Western Force have gone out and set up again. So I don't know it's a shit show.
It's just Melbourne, man. Melbourne's a bit of a shit show. In general, everything. I was there a couple of months ago, and it's just.
I haven't been back for years, man. But we lived there for 10 years. Crazy. I love the city. Like going to school there was cool, but
the food's what takes me to Melbourne. Bro. And my uncle.
Shout out uncle.
That's a bit of a joke. But, I don't know. I hadn't been there for a couple of years, and then I went down there in the start of December. And I was like, it's just different. Like my nationals competition's in Geelong, so I'm gonna obviously go there and make a week of it. But it just felt different. I don't know. It felt not the same as when I was there last time. Because last time was before COVID.
That's what I was literally about to say. Like COVID messed. We were in there for the first 6 months
of COVID.
Down in Melbourne.
How bad was it? Because
bad. You couldn't even you get pulled over just by walking the streets.
Really?
By cops. Where do you live? If your ID wasn't if you weren't within 5Ks, bang, fine on the spot, like crazy. Full locked in, man.
I had a great COVID lockdown.
So in Melbourne, funny enough, I just came back from overseas. So I stopped playing rugby, so a few too many head knocks at the end. And I used to double up seasons, man. So meaning I'd come over here, play here, and then I didn't want to do preseason. I was like, I'm fit. I've just played 20 games. Let's just head off overseas. You get paid, even if you get a match bonus contract where you just get depending on which country you're in, but you can get anywhere from 400 or 500 Australian a week just to play over there
for a game.
Because there's clubs got good money over there. Same as
rugby league.
And then depending on where you are, I know boys who earn up to $2-3 grand a match.
Really?
If there's independent funding of the club. Or they got pokey setups, or however they make their money. So you'd just piss off overseas, you'd play for 6 months or the season, and then you'd come back, play again, so you don't have to do pre-season, especially if you're pretty switched on with your fitness and how to look after your body. And then I didn't know, but I had two concussions across the season, which isn't that bad here. Then I had 2 over there, 2 here, and then I went back again, and I was like, oh no, 6. I've started to have I'm starting to build up. And then my last one was a delayed onset, so I got in and out, and the guy stepped out, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to make this contact, but I'm just going to throw my body in the way, try and, slow him down. And I got kneed in the head, came off, needed some stitches over my eye, and then went back on the field because I felt good. And then it wasn't until after that match, a few beers deep, you're out with all the boys, strobe lights in the club, and you're like, oh no, I'm not good. And then that was pretty bad. So I spoke to my mentor, my manager, spoke to my parents, and I was like, all right, I think I'm just going to have to come home, have a bit of time off. It's not worth
CT.
I was like, man, I've had a shoulder recurve, I've had 2 hip surgeries. I was like, I'll keep going back over little orthopedic shit like that. But I was like, I'm not going for head knocks. I'm dumb enough as it is, bro.
It's not fun. I was similar. I think one of the last seasons I played when I was at school still, so 17, I was playing 3 games a week. So I was playing for club and then 2 for school. And in that year, I got 7 concussions or something. I had a headgear. And it wasn't because I didn't know how to play or where to put my head. It's just
It just happened. You can't control.
It's a contact sport.
Anyone who plays with me growing up, man, I was not a physical player. Like when I was older, a little bit, like especially when I went overseas and I grew confidence by putting on muscle, and like I had a few like light bulb moments where you get smacked and you just hop up and you're like, oh, I'm all good.
Yeah.
Or one day you just have a dump of adrenaline, you rush out of line and you hit someone like you normally wouldn't, and you're like, oh, I can make this.
Yeah.
But I grew up not physical, man.
Yeah.
And like for me to get bummed out by head knocks is kind of funny. Like the irony of that is I was a physical player.
Yeah.
More physical boys are probably doing 10 to 15, 20 more collisions per match than me, but I'm the one at 24 who bombed out because of head knocks. Like it's just kind of funny like that.
Yeah,
but you can't control. What I'm trying to say is like you can't control the contact of rugby. You could be as textbook as possible. Yeah. It's going to happen eventually. Yeah. It's inevitable.
You can guess what the other person's going to do, but you still don't know. Like
out of your control,
you could go to tackle someone with your right shoulder, your head's that way because they're running straight, and that last second they step. There you go, bang your knee in the head. Yeah, like it's that simple. Like, it's head knocks. I remember. I don't remember the worst one, but I remember the aftermath of the worst one.
Yeah,
it was like my 250th game for the club that I was playing for.
Damn.
And I got headbutted square in the face. So I was upright in a tackle against the other forward. So I had him like that. And then my teammate came to help. And the top of his head went straight into my nose.
Man, yeah.
And I was flat. Like my dad was recording the game too. Yeah. And you just hear him go, oh fuck. And the camera drops.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then I remember seeing the head, and then I remember waking up in the shed. And like, nothing.
And my last one was so bad that they had to send me to this facility in Dublin. So I was living in Limerick's like West Island. So it's like everywhere in Ireland's accessible. So it's like 2-hour drive to Dublin. Yeah. I was in Dublin at a facility learning how to like write again. Yeah. And like doing like cognitive stuff, eyesight. Yeah. Had to redo my driver's test. Like, and I was like, this like, and that wasn't professional footy. Like I was like, okay, if I'm making hundreds of thousands in my family and you know, there's a potential path, but I was like, I'm still at this semi-pro level. Yeah. The next level is bigger, badder, faster. Like,
bigger boys.
And that, same again, like that next level of perspective hit you. Yeah. Like I was like, okay, you know, like you got to start to look at other things.
It's crazy to hear you say that. Like, there's a lot of people out there that wouldn't have. Like, you're comfortable enough in yourself to go, look, it's time to hang up the boots. Where like I've known people that should have hung up the boots years before they did.
We all know them, bro. They're at the same club, playing the same, pushing for selection.
Fucking, it's silly, man. It's like, my nail in the coffin for me was, I was never going to be anything other than a forward. There was no way I was going into the backs ever. Yeah. Like, and I saw the Rabbitohs play the Titans at Burleigh. Yep. And the Rabbitohs were warming up on the training field, and all 4 Burgess boys were there, and they walked past me, and I was like, and we're on level flat, and I was like, damn, they're brick walls. Like I can't. How am I going to beat those? Yeah. And I was like, you can play for fun, and you can, like, I was only 19. I was like, you could go play A grade for Parkwood and stuff like that. What happens if you get hurt and all this shit? And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm done. Like I still love footy. I still love watching it, but I was like, I'm too competitive to not play like at a level. So
and I was like that too, man. Like if I can't do something and aspire to be the best at that thing, or like not just best as in like be the best person in the world at that. Like I'm saying myself getting the most out of it. Yeah. I'm not going to even bother. Yeah. Like, and as narrow-minded as that sounds, and I'm not going to give stuff a go. No, like for me, consistency and showing up every day. And I knew I peaked at 20 when I was Australian 20s. I was there. I had the opportunity. I wasn't like good enough to grab it. And so I was like, okay, I went overseas, but it wasn't my number one. I was like, I'm going to use this to travel. Yeah. I'm going to use this to meet people. Yeah. I'm going to use this to be a kid and have fun and party and meet the girls. And then when the time was right, and I said to my old man, like I called him when I was overseas, and I was like, I'm not enjoying the footy over here. I've had a few head knocks and all this. He just said, spend one more month, just get through one more month, have as much fun as you can. Call me in a month, see where you're at. He said, if in a month you're done, you know, but he's like, just give it one more go. And in a month I called him. He's like, all right, see you soon. Yeah. He's like, get back here. Don't worry about it. Just quit. He's like, focus on the next thing.
That's cool. But how are they when you got selected for Australia and to go overseas and stuff?
Yeah.
Because Bo, his older brother, who I know, is the polar opposite to Billy. Yeah. He prefers beer and not the gym.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So,
which is a shame because he's super athletic.
Yeah, he could have been just
probably more, bro. Yeah. I actually think more.
He's a lot angrier than you.
Yeah.
Back when we were kids, way angrier than you. You were still
I think
the same.
Other kids made him angry.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
He made me angry too. Like, bro, I nipple crippled him once so hard that he bled.
That's so funny.
He punched me in the nuts after.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Anyway, he was like, I tried to get him to play for Aquinas, to play footy.
Yeah.
He just didn't want to.
He was good. From what I was so young, but my old man told me he was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Athletics kind of was he'd win.
Yeah.
He was fast and fit, but
I think I took to my Bianca, so not my older sister, my other sister, and I took to sports more. Yeah. So I think naturally, Dad, my old man, being so into sport, like that aroused him a lot more. Like being like, yeah, I've got kids who finally like want to do this, and
because Morgan's full academic, eh?
Yeah. And man, what people like, this is frowned upon speaking about these days, man. But I have memories of my old man dragging me out of bed on Sundays. You're going to train,
that's
like. Yeah, but you know, most people look at that these days and go, nah, that's, you know, abusive parenting. Like you're forcing kids to do something. When I look back on it now, and every little bit of like discipline and mindset and strive to be better comes from that.
Oh,
like, I have a memory of my old man driving his ute behind me, telling me to run fast, like full Rocky, like what you see. Literally, he's doing that.
That's
and if you meet my old man, it would not surprise you whatsoever.
No,
like,
that doesn't surprise me. One bit.
Yeah, and like so. For me and my sister Bianca had a lot of achievements.
She was really good at netball, eh?
Dancer. She was a professional dancer. She might have been when she was younger at other stuff.
I just remember playing netball.
When she went down to Melbourne, she had a few opportunities dancing and acrobats and but like I think being a male and a son, you know, playing the sport that he played growing up and probably going in places that he wanted to or maybe never had the opportunity to. I think as a parent, all you want to see your kid do is be better than you.
Yeah.
And I think the moment you see your kid do better than you, it's a sense of accomplishment. It's like your past regrets no longer matter. Yeah. When you say, I wish I did this, or I wish I took this more seriously, or I wish I stuck to that a little bit more. Yeah. When you see your kid achieve that, you're like, it's all worked out. Good, yeah. And that for him, it was like super proud. And funny enough, and maybe this is an Australian thing and our lack of culture, I didn't get along with my old man back then because how hard he was trying to push me. Yeah. And when I became a man, I bit back. Yeah. And then now I look back, especially now, like I'm a dad now, and like, you know, I sit here and I'm like, I want to parent the exact same.
Yeah,
hope my kid turns out.
You're going to pull him out of bed on a Sunday run.
100%.
You're not as big as your old man though. Like I remember, I said it to you before, but I remember walking into your house the first time. I think it was for Bo's birthday or something, and your old man's just sitting in the couch, and I was like, that's a big motherfucker. Like I was so scared to do anything wrong in your house. And then me and Bo were out the back playing, and I was like, bro, you got to calm down. Like, I'm not getting yelled at. Like,
but he's such a happy, dude.
He was always such a nice guy, but he's just a huge, and like he could easily, he could pull me out of bed back then.
I think like 6'1", 128 lean.
Hell. Yeah, he was just huge.
Yeah, big boy, thick man. Boy. Yeah, and he had good genetics. Big numbers in the gym, like. I think he had over 200 bench and, you know, like big boy. Yeah. He was footy player, bodybuilder, powerlifter, you know, power building is like very common back then. Yeah. Like, and then did a few shows. I did think he did quite well bodybuilding as well. Yeah. And then, like after that, back then, like the science and training and doing it properly wasn't there. So I think he kind of injured out. Yeah. Like, you know, they were squatting heaps and doing 20 sets and like they weren't thinking about the science behind it. Yeah. Like it would have been in hindsight. I reckon it would have been cool to be back then because like you would just do it. Yeah. But these days there's such a what if component of training. Yeah. You're like, I've done 5 sets. That's it. When back then they'd be like, what are you doing?
Let's go 10 more.
Yeah, exactly. Like more is better back then.
I trained at World Gym Ashmore yesterday actually, and they had at World Gym Ashmore they've obviously got like the big screens with all the old school bodybuilders on it and stuff, and it just had snippets of Ronnie Coleman training, Jay Cutler training, Branch Warren, all those and like Jay Cutler was a bit prettier than Ronnie and Branch, where like Branch's gym, he built it on his farm. Like it was just all old, and they're just in there sweating, lifting heavy, not like they're going
not thinking. There's no thought to it.
And I would have loved it, man.
That's like, man, like a person who trains with intensity will always beat the guy who's too worried about his training program.
Yeah.
You know, like you need 100% a bit of guidance and everything. But if you're not willing to rip in, even if you have max intensity, but you're doing the wrong thing, you'll still get benefits in lifting sports. Yeah. You might burn out every now and then. You'll learn the hard way, but
get a little niggle or something because you lifted wrong.
Yeah. Like, but we all have the ability to overthink training programs.
Oh, yeah.
And just go, you know, now you got to lift this percentage today, but you feel $100.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Or you feel shit, and on your program it says 90%, and you're like, it's not practical. You know, you're going to injure yourself trying to strive and do that. But back then they wouldn't have thought like that. They would have been like, you know, you're a pussy unless you lift this. Yeah. Let's go. Like, you know,
it's crazy to see how it's all like. I literally last Thursday, I hit my warm up 120 kilo deadlift, and I was like, this is fucking heavy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I chalked it in my brain before I chalked it.
Yeah.
And then I did my top set of deadlifts, and I was like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like if I keep going, I'm gonna hurt myself. But I got in the car. It was very quiet leaving the gym. Got in the car and just sat in the car. Like, you're a fucking pussy. Like, like,
and that's probably that's that old school mindset.
I was like, you want to win a national championship, but you're sitting here in the car with the rest of your workout left in the gym because you hurt your little back. Like, it's a good and bad mentality to have. It can.
Yeah. I think training environment is important for that too. Yeah. Because sometimes you will be the first person to negotiate with yourself and opt out. Yeah. Where if you're with someone else and you don't negotiate with yourself and you leave it up to people like your coach, a training partner, a mentor, whoever's with you training, if you like listen to their output, like if your coach said, "Nah, you're just being soft today. Let's go. You got to work. You got to grind through this." Yeah. You know, where if a coach has their eyes on you and they can see, man, you look flat. Like, okay, this is pissing in the wind. Let's pull back. Yeah. Let's just hit some accessories today, get what we can, and move on. Go,
it's hard being a coach as well as that, because you're battling the coach and the athlete mindset.
100%.
Definitely split down the middle for me. And I go, Coach Liam will go, fucking just pull back. Yeah. Rest up. There's another week. But athlete Liam's like, that's a week gone out of your training. Like, you're a week behind now. Like, what are you doing? So it's and I train by myself most time for powerlifting. Yeah. And that makes it a lot harder, because having someone next to you, you always go harder. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I think that's
your dog runs over to your bar, or it looks at you awkwardly when you're picking the bar up. You're like, oh, I'm going to pick this up. You know, like that's your motivation.
Yeah. Like I think that's what I miss most about team sports. Yeah. Is because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for everyone. And it does get hard, obviously, being in powerlifting for me, because it's a solo sport. Like, I'm a part of Team Zero, like, and there's heaps of good lifters in there, but we're all by ourselves. At the end of the day, there's no If other guy I had on, not last week, the week before, he lives in Warwick. His gym is in a shed, and he'll go out there and squat and deadlift by himself.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And like hundreds of kilos. By himself. I'm like, you're insane. Like, I just love it, man.
Some people are built different.
Yeah. His mindset is like, well, if I drop it, I drop it. I'm like,
a team sport, like I would say, you're part of a team, man. But a team sport is where you'll benefit of someone else doing better. Yeah. But realistically, like, even in what you do, and same with CrossFit, if you choose to do individual, you might be training next to someone, but you know, if you do any better, that's not going to help them. Yeah. We're a team sport. If you do better, if you're a better rugby player and I'm on your team, I'm going to benefit from it. Yeah. We're going to we're going to be a better team because of it. Yeah. Yeah. That collective nature.
Yeah. And you can get it in solo sports. Like, I have it at Ground Zero now.
Training environment. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they literally do not care how strong you are. Like, it was the same when I was at a strongman gym. They do not care what is on the bar, as long as you're having a crack. Yeah. That's all they care about.
Well, man, look what happened at like the strongman comp I did. Like, I come from CrossFit. Yeah. Literally within 2 weeks, I was like, let's just do the strongman comp. This will be fun. Like, and in the CrossFit world, my numbers are the top, close to the top end. Like, there are better movers than me, but I always knew I was on the stronger side. And a lot of CrossFitters do well in weight class strongman because strongman's such a misunderstood sport. Yeah. But I would say how we met, how we like bumped into each other. You were coaching another athlete. Yeah. I rock up. I didn't even know how to pick a stone up, man. I didn't know how to pick up stone. Yeah, and you like, and that's what I'm talking about. That training environment. Yeah. You have a competitor there
in the same weight class.
But in the same weight class, going head to head. Yeah. I know nothing, and he's even showing me how to do stuff as an athlete. Like you guys are helping me. Yeah. That's environment, man.
That's a massive shout out to Empire though. Like they're not every strongman gym's like that. Like the culture that Empire has built is
they moved their gym recently,
yeah. It's bigger and better. Logan based, but the culture those guys have brought Emma and Big Dog up there and the whole team, like I literally can't put it into words. You can't go up there and not have a good time because they are the absolute epitome of sportsmanship.
Oh man,
like
100%.
Every competition they give out sports person of the day. Yeah. And that goes to the person that was the most encouraging, happy. Like they want you to go hard and compete, but they also want you to be polite and cheering and make sure everyone else is having a good time as well. Like you can't, if you go in there,
I'll tell a story about them too as well. So I finished off like the CrossFit our season kind of throughout the year. Yeah. I did that strongman comp, I had a bit of success in it, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna go full strongman. Like maybe here's a sport.
It's addictive, eh?
Yeah, man, crazy. I was like, maybe here's a sport I could go like be one of the best in Australia. You could. And I still think like I'm arrogant enough to think I could, but
because you have the height.
Yeah.
In the 105s, you would be an absolute beast because you have that 6'2" frame. Yeah. That's one of the big reasons I'm not in strongman anymore, because me making 105, I'd be super competitive because, dude, my overhead press is insane. Yeah. I can move a yoke because I'm built stocky, but to get to 105 would be a detriment to me competing.
Yeah.
And I'm too short for the big
That's playing your genetics, man.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But I was like, okay, let's go do strongman. So I literally signed up to Empire. I did 6 weeks. Numbers that are crazy benefit, and they took out of their day to come help me. No PTs, like I was paying membership, but they helped me so much, man. And like, they didn't need to do that. No, you know,
they really. I don't know how they've built it, but they really do not care how strong you are. They do not give a flying fuck as long as you're there to get better and encourage other people to be better.
Yeah.
Passion. You fit it. Yeah. Passion, it's literally passion for other people. Yeah. Not just the sport. It's for other people. Like, man, I've been at so many comps where Emma specifically has been, and she'll be up next to compete or to do the movement. And she's there screaming at that person on like, you better pick it up. Like going absolutely insane for a competitor. And like, it might be the competitive nature in me, but I'm not like that. Like I want everyone to win and have a good time. But when I'm in comp mode, it's me. I'm only worried about me. And that may sound rude and whatever, but I'm focused on me performing better. Yeah. But I wish I could have more of what Emma and Big Dog have, because
I wouldn't be able to do that.
It's hard.
No, I would not be able to, especially if my goal is to win. Yeah. Then I can't have that filter. Yeah. Like, the one thing that annoys me so much, like to say in my space, this is my personal ick, is when other competitors get programming from other competitors. Because I'm like, I'm not going to genuinely sit there and program wholeheartedly and put all my energy in for you to beat me. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Like in CrossFit, training programs is like it's the biggest chat. Like people talk so much about it. You know, like this training program's the best, this one's the best, this one's the best. Yeah, right. When realistically, there is no set formula to programming CrossFit because it's so varied. Yeah. So there's so much variety in it, and there's no one way fits all. But I'm like, I see 2 or 3 competitors all at the top level and like, or the semi-final level, or trying to get to the top, and they're programming one another. I'm like, I can't sit there and go, I'm genuinely wanting you to beat me. Yeah. When I'm competitive in the sport. Yeah. You must be a real special person to be able to do that. And then my ego would be like, I don't want you programming for me if I'm trying to beat you, you know?
We just sound like assholes.
It does, man, but it's competitive nature.
It's a competitive nature.
There's only one winner. Yeah. You know, like.
And if you're in it to be competitive, and like there's a time to have fun. Yeah. There really is. But I'm fucking going for gold.
Yeah.
I'm not going. I'm going to have fun, but I'm going for gold.
Yeah.
It's not another option.
There's such things as training camps in CrossFit now. Now I'm nowhere near that top level. Like we're talking games, professional athletes now, but we're like no CrossFit Games winner has ever been a part of a training camp. Like they've had a sole coach, maybe they've had a mixed partner, like a female partner, male partner, but they've never been part of a big training camp. Like how funny is that? And like the proof's there. Yeah. You know, like you can't, if your coach isn't fully invested into you, and they might have other athletes as well, but I mean, you can't be programming with two people in the same division, I believe, and then both genuinely want each one to win. Yeah. Yeah. It's like when parents say, who's your favorite kid? Yeah. You know, you have a favorite.
Yeah. I know Kira's the favorite. Especially because she's popped out 2 kids. She's given mum and dad grandkids. Yeah. She's the favorite. Yeah. It's not, it's common knowledge. The ranks.
I'm not saying you can't move, but
maybe if I pop a child out, it might change, but I know that it's, and you know, as a coach too, like the capabilities of your client, and you know where they're going to go, like how far that they can go. So not saying that you wouldn't program them to win, but you're also realistic as a coach. Like if you're 100%. If you're coaching someone, you're not going to fluff them up and go, yeah, you're going to go to the CrossFit Games, knowing in your head that they're not. There's no chance of them making it. Like
I think as coaches, it's like it's our job to set those realistic expectations on them. Now, if anyone ever came to me and said, I'm going to go to the CrossFit Games, I'd never say you're not going to. Yeah. You know, but I would try as a coach, I'd say it's our responsibility to teach them what's required to go to the games. Yeah. You know, it's like if someone comes in, I want to make $1 million, you need X amount of streams of income. You got to work like this. You're going to have this type of family. It's, you know, and there are expectations or there are outliers to all of that. Yeah. But like, and I was like this when I first entered CrossFit. I was like, I'm going to the games. I went straight to this gym and CrossFit Urban down at Southport, and there was one at Burleigh too, and I ended up working for them as well. But I was like, I'm going to the games, and I literally remember them chuckling about it, you know. And they were games athletes, but they're not chuckling because they were like, you're never going to make it. Like they were chuckling because they're like,
you don't know the work yet.
Oh my God, like the path that you're about to go through, bro, like is massive. And
are you close to the games level?
No. Not to the games.
Really?
I'm hopefully this year will be a breakout year going to the semi-finals as an individual athlete. So how CrossFit going to the games, there's an online community event called the CrossFit Open. Yeah. Now, the CrossFit Open is for anyone who is in a CrossFit gym. You don't have to be in a CrossFit gym. Like you have at World Gym, they do it as well. Yeah, they do the Open where you could be the fittest man and woman in the world, but you're also doing it with your everyday person. Yeah, okay. Everybody does it. They release 3 workouts, one every week for 3 weeks. You submit an online video of the workout, or you get a judge to judge your score, which they need to have like a accreditation and certificate and all this. And then from there, they take the top 25% of those results. You go through to the quarterfinals, where you'll do it now over 4 days. I think it's this year. You'll do like 6 workouts, and you don't know those workouts till the day before the 6-day window. And then after that, they take the top, depending on where you live in the world, but in Oceania, so Australia, New Zealand, all the islands, they'll take the top 40 men and women, and you'll go to semi-finals, which is what I'm aspiring for this year. Yeah. And then from there, they take the top 3.
In each weight class? Or?
No, there's no weight classes. Yeah, so top 3. And so, and Australia has some big hitters. Like, we've got some big boys in CrossFit. 3 people in Oceania. It's crazy. So the gap to get from where I'm at now to semifinals isn't that big. Like it's, you know, I'm hopefully working towards to close that gap. But the gap to go from that top 40 to top 3 is lifestyle changing. Yeah. It is. And at that point, you're now starting to dabble a little bit more in your movement patterns, your genetic makeup. You need to work well with what you've got. You got to find your strengths and weaknesses. And, you know, to get to the games is extremely difficult. And rightfully so. Like,
it has to be. It's the top in the world.
Yeah, well, we make the claim fittest on earth. Like it's a very bold claim. So if you want to get there, you got to be fit, man. Yeah,
you know? But you said it, like CrossFitters do really well in weight class strongman. Like we literally saw you do it. Yeah, on 2 weeks' notice. Like I said it from jump. I was like, because CrossFit is a great sport. I don't rip on it. I rip on the people that are dickheads in every sport. It doesn't matter. Like I had a podcast here and I was talking shit on APU, which is a powerlifting federation that's a piece of shit. Yeah. Like I love powerlifting. It's all I think about. It's all I do. Yeah.
And we have those divisions in CrossFit.
And like and rightfully so. You should rip on the dickheads. Like they shouldn't be dickheads because that pushes people away from the sport. Yeah. What I was saying is like you guys are fit and strong. Yeah. Like 2 weeks notice to be able to go over and just do a strongman comp is insane. Where I had Jacob training for months. Yeah. Like obviously you're training in CrossFit and stuff like that. You got the base level, it's just learning the movements. But I reckon especially the 105s, the 105, if CrossFitters went to 105s in strongman, unstoppable. Yeah. Absolutely unstoppable.
It's like CrossFit at the start in the sport was very skewed towards weightlifting. Yeah. Like if you look back at older footage 10 years ago of CrossFit, the goal was to get as strong as possible. And they were claiming fittest on earth and we were fit, but compared to where we're at now with our conditioning and gymnastics numbers as well, yes, the weightlifting, we've kind of hit that plateau. Like it was at the start of CrossFit, we saw this huge spike. And if you took all of our numbers for weightlifting, we weren't far off Olympic level clean and jerks and snatches. Yeah. Obviously there's a big jump to that level, but we're not far off. We're in the top percentile of that. And now we're getting to the point where conditioning wise and gymnastics, like that's the future of CrossFit right now. We're sort of skewing towards that. Those numbers are getting good. Yeah. So like for those who didn't know, like CrossFit, we take your weightlifter, your any type of conditioning or endurance event like marathon, rowing, running, cycling, and then we take your weightlifter, gymnastics, conditioning, and whoever has the most broad capability across all three of those will be the fittest on earth. Yeah, right. And that's what we're trying to test. We're trying to find that middle ground.
That's insane.
We're not trying to find a specialist who's the weightlifter who can snatch 160 and do this. If they can't run a good 5K, you're not fit, are you? No. So that's where we have that middle ground. Yeah.
It is hard. Like, obviously I'm strong because I'm a powerlifter, but I did a performance class at Worlds.
With Dylan?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was fucked. Like, I was like, nah. Because I love like the high intensity circuit training and stuff like that. I always have. But that was just a whole nother level. Like, I think the overhead press was like 70 kilos from floor to overhead, which is like, I saw one of the other guys just look at me and go, and then look at Dylan, and Dylan's like, he's just strong. Yeah. But I was gassed. Yeah. Like, it took me like 2 hours to recover after the, it was just a class. And he's like, it was nothing crazy. It was just a conditioning class. And I was like, this is fuck. Like,
don't get me wrong, man. Like if you're looking at the sport of CrossFit, not the training in itself, like for every day, if you're looking just the sport, if you don't have a certain level of strength or your barrier to entry is not there, you're not strong enough to play. Nah. Like there are certain levels in this sport, and it's the same with gymnastics and conditioning. If you're not up to this tier, you'll get to like that quarterfinal level and you're out. Yeah. And that some of those numbers are crazy numbers. Like for example, like the first quarterfinal event last year had 9 front squats at 100 kilos off the floor. Now, to us as strength athletes, we're like, okay, that's nothing. You're able to nothing. But when you need the fitness and the gymnastics,
that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's it. And then there's deadlifts at 140. Like, this is for the males. And so, like, how many people do you know walking around with 140 deadlifts for multiple reps under fatigue? Yeah. Like, there's a level of strength where if you don't even have it in CrossFit, you won't even play. Yeah. Kind of like, you're not going to see a 60-kilo guy run onto a rugby field. You don't have the size to be able to jump on and play. Yeah. Like there's a barrier to entry to participate or to, at the top level, participate in the sport of CrossFit. Yeah. There's divisions below it, but that's why strength training as a base is so important in CrossFit.
So important, just life.
100%.
I think that's my biggest gripe with, and I say it all the time with CrossFit, is heavy loads under fatigue. Just because getting injured is, I think that's the big thing for me, like with F45s and stuff. Yeah. Is those guys aren't CrossFit coaches or strength coaches. They're just Cert 3 and 4. And they haven't done anything extra on top. And I think that's the biggest, just personal worry. Like I see, like, I'm like, fuck, like.
Man, so I can debunk that straight away. So where people get wrong about CrossFit is you need to separate CrossFit as a training methodology and a sport.
Yeah.
And like, so I'm a CrossFit coach. I coach at CrossFit Ducks in Brisbane, one of the best CrossFit gyms in Australia, in Brisbane, in Queensland as well. And it's like, I would never ever give someone 80% plus under fatigue unless you are so conditioned, you've trained that, you've built your way up. It's kind of like if someone came to you in your powerlifting or strength training or anything you do, and they've never done anything before, you're not getting them to 1 rep max week 1.
No.
Or anywhere close to that.
No.
Until you learn how to squat, or basic foundation level of movement,
strength,
you are never going to be doing that.
No.
And that's when people see the sport of CrossFit, the sport, not the methodology, and they look at what the athletes can do, and they snatch 100 kilos under fatigue, which even to snatch 100 kilos is incredible strength. But you do that under fatigue now after all these burpees and handstands and fish out of water kipping shit on rigs, and you're like, that's how you're going to get injured. But we've conditioned that over time. Anyone who comes into my class has never done CrossFit before. You're not even touching a barbell doing a snatch until you can do an overhead squat with a broomstick. And you talk about dickheads in sports or in training or in anything, CrossFit. The dickhead or the people who mess that up for us are people who try to rush athletes or people to be able to do that. And it's our ego to sit there and go, no, I see them with a barbell, my mates, he can do it, I can do it too. No, you can't.
No.
And
not until you've been taught.
A good coach, same in anything, will strip you back to foundations, and you need to earn the right to get there.
And it's definitely, that's a good sign of a good coach, is them being able to articulate to that person and cut that ego and go, hey, no, you need to do this. Like, I had a young kid who wanted to learn how to deadlift, and he's like, I deadlift 200. I'm like, you deadlift 200 now, but watch what happens if you learn properly. And I put 5s on, like big bumper plate 5s, just so it's off the ground. And he's like, well, it's only 30 kilos. I'm like, we can go to 40 just because it's a little bit heavier and we'll counter it, but I'm looking at your deadlift. The top of your back's rounded. Your lower back's not straight. Your legs, you're doing a squat. Your arms are bent. You need to practice the actual movement. And I'm not the best deadlifter in the world, but I've been taught by some of the best.
100%.
So being able to check your ego as well as a coach and go, well, no, I know this, you don't, and articulate it in a way where they go, oh, okay, I understand why Liam or Billy is doing this. And then you can show them the results.
That comes with trust in your coach. Oh my God. Trust it.
Trusting.
And even if they're not, you're not PTing or you're not paying them. Obviously, we're both coaches. If you pay me more for my time, I'm going to give you more of my energy. I get that. But in a class environment, you better check your ego at the door. And CrossFit is so bad at that because it's fast fitness in a competitive environment. At least when you do your powerlifting stuff, it's you versus you on the bar. But all of a sudden I put someone next to you and I say, you're going to lift as fast, try and lift that bar faster or do your 5 reps faster than him. No shit, your technique's going to go out the door, And so like, you got to push your ego to the side and put your trust in your coach. And if he or she says, no, you're lifting 40 kilos today, are you going to do it as perfect as possible? Do that. And just go, okay, he knows or she knows something that I don't know. I'm going to just believe and trust them. Like my boss there's levels to becoming a CrossFit coach, like level 1, level 2, and you do your affiliation, you do your CrossFit certificate through CrossFit headquarters. And he has he demands level 2s only, minimum, which is like, 4 or 5 years of training to get there. It's a very hard course to pass, man. I learned more from that course in my level 1 than I did my whole cert 3 and 4. And
that was like going for my ASCA level 1. Like it's something that I want to bring to, talking about bringing it to a world gym is level PT. Because any Tom, Dick and Harry can go get their cert 3 and 4, come into a gym and go, I'm going to charge $120 for 45 minutes because I think I know better. And if they market right, they can get it. But there's a lot of people out there that aren't even worth $60 an hour, but they think they're worth more. And I want to bring it into our club, the level system, and you have to do certain things to get to level 3 or level 4, whatever they want to bring in. Just because the quality, I'm sick of hearing people go, anyone can be a coach these days, or You probably
can't.
get it.
Yeah,
you probably get it as well in CrossFit. Like, well, I've got my cert 3 and 4. I can.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
No.
Like you can't. So I want to try and help eradicate that in the industry, because there's a lot of people making money and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, take
you
that.
Listen to this, folks. Just because your coach has big arms does not mean they're a good coach.
No.
Or they look good.
Yeah.
Or they can lift big weights. It doesn't mean they're a coach.
Yeah.
You know, to a certain standard, yeah. Good coaches practice what they preach and are an example for their athletes.
Yeah.
But you do not need to be or need to aspire to be like that to be a good coach. Or you shouldn't. No. Like, and if you're probably spending more time on yourself, you're probably not the best coach.
Yeah.
Like,
if you've got the time to spend
100%. Yeah.
Unless you're really good at time management.
Well,
some people out there are like that.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No. And I know that now. Like, I only take a certain amount of online clients. I cap my PTs per week.
Yeah.
You know, when they come up, I market that. But like, I know I'm trying to compete in the sport.
Yeah.
So I need a level of self-respect to prioritize that, because it's so hard and time consuming to be good at CrossFit or to be good at any sport. And then as a coach, if I put too much time into my training, I know that's watered down.
Yeah.
If I take on too much here, I know it's give and take.
Yeah.
And you need to know where that balance is.
Yeah. Trying to find that balance is the hardest. That's what I'm struggling with at the moment. Like trying to set a time to go train, but then if I miss that window, I'm pissed off, and then that affects my training, and then affects my sleep.
That's the hardest thing as a coach, man, is that I find, like, I do a lot of group training. I love the group training. I'm an extrovert. I get energy from being around people, and I'm like,
I was literally just thinking that, like, the difference between just one-on-one with you as opposed to like at competitions and stuff, where I also seen you was completely different.
100%. Like
so much more. You're like a golden retriever at a competition. You just let's go. Actually, it's awesome. It's an awesome thing.
I'm talking about that boy before, that Tongan boy, Sione. The one thing he said to me when I was young, man, and like I lacked a lot of confidence as a rugby player when I was young because of the physicality, yeah? And he always said to me, when you run on that field, you need to feel like superior to everyone else. You know, you need to feel like you're better than everyone, have that mindset. And even if you're not, even if you're up against whoever, the best rugby player in the world's in front of you or versing you, you should carry that mindset to win, to be that. And I've carried that through my CrossFit career, man. If you see me, like, everybody knows, if you go to a CrossFit event, when the heavy lift comes out, it attracts the most attention. Because people want to see amazing things. It's not fun to watch someone do an extra 3 burpees in a minute than someone else. I'm sorry.
It's impressive, but it's not cool to watch.
Or you need to be an enthusiast to enjoy that. But you see someone put on like these crazy amounts that people can lift these days. And because I have a strength background coming into CrossFit.
Helps heaps.
Oh, man. And it attracts so much attention. And so, and you know this, there's such a high arousal to lifting big weights, man.
That's why I do it.
So big weight. So you slap on that weight, man, get the crowd up, like arrogant as it comes, man. But like, I
try to be as humble as it is. Like I was with
But you're not being arrogant to other competitors. I'm not turning around saying, guess what, I lift more than you. Whatever, man. I'm just getting the crowd up. I'm doing this for me. And I might hit the lift and I smack the barbell a certain way, like it's my little trademark thing, and you know, like, sweet, that's for me. You know,
and it's gonna make you, like, before Zero Pro, I attempted the Australian bench record for my weight class. And the MC started getting it hyped. I hit my ammonias. My coach had like grabbed my shoulders, like, let's fucking go, like, come on, it's yours. The crowd, my mum and dad and everyone's there, they're screaming, and then I just let out like this massive roar. I was like, come on, like, let's go.
100%.
I missed it, but you're
not gonna get that.
No. It was still like that feeling. I'm going again. Like, I'm gonna 100%. Do it again. But you do it for yourself. Like, you're not doing it to rub it into other people. Like, it's I don't know. I mean, we must just be showboats, showmen.
Maybe.
But it's the cool part of sport. Like,
level of pride, man, because like you've worked for something.
Exactly.
You mean you want it. It's like, if you can't ride those highs and celebrate or get yourself like pumped for the small things, what's the point
of doing it?
What's the point? And I don't think it's a reflection on you. I just did one of the biggest comps in Australia we did last year in December. I was in a team though, and the team, I had this Jordan Wilson, this 20-year-old at the time, bro. This guy, I've never met anyone like him. You know, I'm actually going to comp with him next week. But shout out to him, man. He is 20 years old. He squat cleaned 180 kilos in a competition. 180 kilos, man.
How heavy is he?
He's under 100 kilos. So, like, intense. This guy, introverted, quiet, churchgoer, humble as they come, does not swear, does not get involved in gossip. Like I've seen him walk away from conversations once it gets a little too rowdy. And even him beating his chest afterwards, we're all jumping on him. He's celebrating because he knows how much it means.
Yeah.
His family's like on the live stream, or like you're doing whatever they can to support him.
Yeah.
Like the comp was in Wollongong, so most of us are watching on the live stream. He hits that. That dude would not beat his chest or think he's better than anyone in this world because he's so humble.
Yeah.
And that's his faith as well. But even to him, it shows you how much it means.
It's a primal thing too. Like going out there and doing something aggressively is a primal feeling, and you can't really control your emotions
100%.
after that. Like I was listening to another podcast. It's New Heights. It's the Kelsey brothers from the NFL.
Sure. Yeah.
And they were talking about how one of the players on the Kansas City Chiefs got a penalty for taunting.
Wow.
He made a massive play, and then he was just up there hyped.
Yeah.
And then got done for taunting. And I'm like,
in a physical sport,
in a contact sport,
I don't get that.
Yeah, I'm like, there's nothing better back in the day watching your mate put a big hit on.
Oh man, even
you
now,
grab them by the jersey, you fucking you love it, like
proud, 100%, man.
And it's crazy that people hide that stuff. And powerlifting, there's not many people that like get too hyped because it's I don't know why, but
I always say
I'm a showboater.
Yeah, I said this in another podcast as well. When you're lifting something big, you need to find your performance zone for your arousal level.
Yeah.
So some people, quiet, music, they think about it heaps. They've got this technical cue and they might not yell and scream because they know that's best for them.
Yeah.
And then you got that one dude comes in, screams so much, yelling out that he forgets technique.
Yeah.
Because he's so hyped up, you know? Like, and you got to bring yourself back down to that performance level where you go, okay, you need a certain amount of arousal, certain amount of hype, but you also need to be thinking about what you're doing to achieve the lift. And once you find that zone that's appropriate for you, everyone's different, stick to it.
Yeah.
Especially in lifting sports where there's like one little bit of technique flaw, you can miss a lift.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what happened on my bench. Yeah. Like, the comp went super quick. I was done. I started lifting at 9, just before 9, and I was done by 12.
Yeah, wow.
And I hadn't eaten properly. Like I was just so nervous. Like I wasn't eating. And that's so important in strength sports is to eat so you're fueled for the lifts. And I just didn't eat between the squat and the bench press, and then my back just cramped up. I didn't have my salt tablets. And, I was not strong enough at the end of the day, but my back cramped and then fucked me for the rest of the day.
Yeah. So, and when you're lifting you're trying to lift something that you don't know if you're capable or not. Which takes a level of confidence in yourself to be able to say, I can lift this. Like to be able to make that claim and genuinely believe it. Like everything needs to be dialed in.
What's your most memorable lift so far? Was it that? Because you did a pretty big one at that December comp, hey?
Actually, no, I bombed it.
That's right, you went for a big one.
I bombed in, so funny enough, at Down Under. So my all-time best clean, 165. Actually, power, and it was a power clean. Yeah. So this is I'm a terrible example in CrossFit of lifting because we were speaking about it before the comp. I'm so fast switch fiber. Yeah. I'm really fast. I'm really powerful. All I've done growing up is contrast training. So lift a heavy weight and then superset it with plyometrics. Yeah. And be strong across and fast and powerful. That's rugby background. Yeah. So when I come into CrossFit and I didn't have good movement. Like I couldn't squat below parallel without heavy weight like forcing me down. Yeah. And I couldn't overhead squat. I could do it because I had a bit of ticker, but it wasn't pretty. And so I've had to work my way. Yeah. So my power clean has always been bigger than my squat clean. Yeah, so, probably 2 months prior to that comp, the big comp, I had a local competition. I hit a 165 power clean. I was primed. This event got announced that was squat cleans. And so straight away, it's a little bit more thought for me. There's more technique. I was a little worried about it. And I thought the hype of the crowd, would get me over the line. But I just technically missed it, made a mistake. And like it happens. And then instead of going for another lift, I was like, I'm going to get out of the way for my boy. It's his time to shine. And he hit it. But, probably that 165 was pretty cool. Power clean that, man.
Dude, that shit's hard. Like,
it's crazy.
Cleaning is hard.
Snatching is the hardest lift with a barbell, technically.
100%.
And the mobility. Because, most people will power more than they can squat because the squat, it takes dumb amount of mobility.
Yeah.
And then, you know this as well, there comes a certain point where if you lift with too much volume, you will tighten up.
Yeah.
And if you tighten up in Olympic lifting, you'll get worse. Yeah. So that's like a big part of CrossFit's mobility and flexibility.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's why I can't. Overhead stuff for me is a strength, but it's also a super weakness because my chest and lats are so tight.
Yeah.
That I have to, when I squat, I'm past the knurlings on my hands because to get under the bar correctly.
Yeah, wow.
Like I've got my pointer finger on the knurling so I can get underneath it properly. Like, if I was to squat clean, like I did it with Dylan at work, and he just
probably holding the bar full grip up on your chin.
No, like I had a snatch grip squat, and I was just like, fully coming over and stuff like that. Like it's just But that's because
it takes a while. It takes a while to get like that.
Yeah.
Like
and I'm like, look, is my mobility and stretching up to standard? Well, probably not.
Yeah, but to lift heavy weights, you need a level of tightness.
Yeah.
So, like for example, my best back squat of all time, you know, like I would nowhere near have that now because my mobility's increased and I've sacrificed like a level of tightness and strength and stabilizer like exercises to be able to have more mobility.
Yeah.
Like it's extremely hard to be big and mobile.
But it's all relative to your sport too.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And that's when you do see those big mobile guys, like the top CrossFit guys. They're like 115 kilos, but they're super mobile and they're super strong at the same time. Like, I think that's the most impressive thing to me. Even the girls over there, like the blonde one.
There's a lot of blonde girls, bro.
She's at the top. She won the game. She did a massive.
Any Thoris daughter? Katrin Davis daughter?
I can't remember.
Laura Horvath?
She said strong girls eat. It was her shirt.
Oh, Denny Spiegel.
Yeah.
I need to talk about it. Yeah.
She did the log.
Yeah.
They brought it into
yeah.
And I was like, fuck, that's cool, man. Like,
yeah.
I love it how
they've never done log before.
Yeah.
They've never programmed a log before,
In
and
the
they
CrossFit
programmed it at the that was it. And not
Rogue.
Rogue
International,
Invitational.
because they have the strongman
Correct.
invitational as well, which I think is awesome. Like, because they're very similar sports. If you look at it, like it's awkward objects as strong as you can, as fast as you can on some events for strongman. Like they're very, very similar in what is required out of your body.
Yeah.
Obviously, in strongman, it's a lot heavier. Like it's insane.
What I was saying before, man. I'm not an expert strongman, bro. I couldn't even pick up a stone without you teaching me how to do it, bro. I didn't even know you used like the tacky, man. I was like, obviously the day before the comp, I had shout out Em again. It took a couple hours out of a day trying to show me how to do stuff, bro. And then you're helping me how to pick a stone up. But CrossFitters, strongman, I found is so misunderstood. And I think the reason CrossFitters go across and do well in weight class because CrossFit's very rarely a 1 rep max.
Yeah.
Strongman, you'd be lucky if it's a 1 rep. Most of the time, it's quite plyometric.
Yeah.
It's quite a lot of agility, running to and from.
Yeah.
Max reps, maybe.
Yeah.
Max walks. Like, and if you don't have a level of conditioning, you're never going to do well in that sport. And I look at I know he's a freak, man, but who's the top strongman right now? Not Michael Hooper. Mitchell Hooper, sorry. Look at him, man. He's doing bar muscle-ups. He's sponsored by TYR, and they're going around and they're like, he's spending time with CrossFitters. Yeah. But I mean, like, look at him.
He's training with CrossFitters.
Yeah, he's doing bar muscle-ups, split jerks. Like, he has a certain level of movement. And like,
he's one of those people that are born for strongman.
Crazy.
Like, he's not the biggest, but he's finding his feet so much better in the past couple of years. Like, Tom Stotter, who did he go up with? I don't think Tom was that. Anyway, the world's strongest man, he won. No one thought he was going to win it. But he
found a way.
Yeah. He's just built for it, man. I think he's like 6'6".
That's crazy,
170 kilos. Like, I think he's a lot lighter now. I think he's down near 150. But when he won, like he's taken his training, he's taken a different approach to his training and developed more of that CrossFit style of training, as in terms of the conditioning. It's working well.
I don't know his real name, but the strongest gay works with
Rob Kearney.
Rob Kearney. That's how he works with Hard Work Pays Off, which is Matt Fraser, the male GOAT for CrossFit.
Yeah.
He has his hard work pays off training program.
Yeah.
Rob does all the strongman implements or programming that we have to do for CrossFit.
Yeah.
He does that programming for hard work pays off.
Yeah, sick.
And he does CrossFit himself,
Yeah.
like 2-3 days a week.
So he has a weightlifting background.
Yep.
So he was an Olympic lifter.
Matt
Right.
Fraser or
Rob Kearney.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So NFL player, like football player over
Yeah.
there, and weightlifting, American Olympic lifting.
His story was he went to a CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And he pulled like 500 or something. 500 pounds, sorry.
Yeah, did
like
something stupid. Yeah,
something dumb deadlift, or maybe even more than that. And then they're like, "Hey, bro, you're probably not built for CrossFit.
Yeah,
like at the top, if
yeah.
you want to pursue a sport, maybe strongman."
Yeah, because he's not the biggest either. He's very similar to me. I think he's only like just on 6 foot or 5'11", and then he
You
gets
never
like,
gonna win, bro.
Nah.
Sorry, man.
You need height in that
Sorry,
sport.
yeah.
You look
Yeah.
at like all the guys that have won in the new era in strongman are all 6'5" plus
It's crazy.
and 180.
Yeah,
because they've got the
Eddie
frame.
Hall was that major exception, eh?
Yeah,
but he was like,
Yeah,
look at how thick he was, man.
he was 195 kilos when he won. He's 6'3". So
Yeah.
he's an inch taller.
With
than
some home cooking on the programming
oh,
to win.
brother. And it was very the events that year were very good for him.
That's what I mean, home cooking.
Yeah.
They wanted
Yeah.
him to win. Bro.
Yeah,
surely.
he did the
Come
500
on.
kilo deadlift,
That was
and
it,
then he
yeah.
won. Like,
Yeah.
and he said, "I'm only ever going to win one, and then I'm going to call it."
Yeah, 100%.
He was extremely unhealthy.
Yeah.
Very.
And he says that now too, man.
Oh,
Shout
yeah.
out to him. He's
Yeah,
honest.
he's very honest about it. Like I think everyone that watched strongman and got into it then, like I used to watch it back in the day and go, "Fuck, that's so cool!" Like watching people pull planes, like they're men
Crazy,
pulling
yeah,
a plane, like
Crazy.
it's insane.
When you pull a truck though, you realize it's not that impressive.
No,
I wasn't that aroused when I did the truck pull. It was cool to do it and say I did it, and out of
the truck wasn't that heavy.
that's probably could be part of it as well.
Yeah.
But out of everything that I did and I posted online, that was the thing that got the most whoa. And I was like,
Because people,
I actually found that the least for the day. Maybe because it was at the end or you waited heaps, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I was like, yeah, that's really cool. It looks cooler than what it is.
Yeah, I was the same.
Yeah.
I think that I love stones. I've always loved watching Atlas stones.
Yeah.
Like when I got the 180
That's
over
savage,
1.2, I was like, that's fucking.
It's one thing that nearly drew me out of strongman. I hated stones, bro.
It's very dangerous if you can't do it properly.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to show you, is because you can hurt yourself really badly if you fuck up stones. Like
I think our heaviest was only 120 to
the
pick
day.
up that day. Like
Yeah.
it was quite light from what I saw for
it was
our.
also wet.
Right.
That on rubber,
That was
you had to
savage.
move. It was a
Yeah.
load and carry with stones. That's a brutal event.
But so in CrossFit, there's never been a male champion over 6 foot.
Really?
No. So like in this context, you talk about strongman, you're not going to win unless you're not going to be there unless you're over a certain
Yeah.
weight class, certain height. There are good genetic components, and we are so good these days at auditing sports down to you're bred for this.
Yeah.
And we spoke about before with rugby.
Yeah.
Polynesians are bred to play that
Yeah.
sport. They're fast, they're big, they're strong,
From a young age.
dynamic.
Yeah.
Like Mitchell Hooper coming into the sport,
Mm.
certain weight class. It's the same with CrossFit, man. Like there's people who come into the sport who just are genetically in a much better position than you are. It's not an excuse. Like I don't go through CrossFit using it as an excuse because they're not sitting there saying, "Oh, I can't play in the NBA."
Yeah.
They're not making complaints. They chose a sport that's appropriate for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm the outlier that's playing in this sport, but
Yeah.
there's still really good athletes who are 6 foot plus in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like there's been people who made the podium before, but to be that good, to be the best, you need to play to your strengths physically.
Yeah. Obviously, being over 6 foot would be detrimental in some aspects because it's the lifting aspect of it. Like I was saying to you before, like obviously squatting for yourself
Very
because
hard.
you're so tall, like 6'2" and squatting. Like the reason I'm good at squatting is because I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
Like I haven't got to go that far. Like
And I got short arms, man. So my pressing is great.
Yeah.
Like my overhead pressing or handstand push-ups or whatever you think in CrossFit overhead, like pressing wise is great.
Yeah.
But anything range of motion, if there's a guy who's 5'8" doing squats next to you or burpees and you're 6'2", you're not keeping up with them. So you got to find other areas in the sport to be better than them at. But that's a different combo. But meaning like you just need to be, I always say like you're gifted with something physically, you find that thing and stick to it.
Yeah.
Like if you're slow twitch and you're good at endurance events, go to endurance events.
Yeah.
If you don't make complaints. If you want to try something, happy days. But I'm saying if you're trying to be the best at something, don't sit there and go, yeah, he's smaller, I'm bigger. It's a shame,
Yeah.
Just play to your strengths.
Yeah. Find what you're good at and stick to it. Like pressing for me, I'm the same. I've got short arms.
Yeah.
Pressing has always been good for me. Like I remember at school, I did like 20 kilo shoulder presses, like dumbbells when I was 16.
That's dumb strength. Dumb strength.
But I don't know. I was just about to say, like, obviously you got good overhead strength as well, but like, do you think that comes from rugby, our rugby backgrounds, because we got to use our shoulders so much?
Comes from having a dad who's a big boy.
Pulling you out of bed on a Sunday morning. Come on, boy.
I grew up doing like powerlifting, power building.
Yeah.
Like that's what even rugby in the last 10 years has been shifting towards strength and conditioning. But prior to that, they were doing power building. Yeah. It was doing, let's build Monday's a chest day, bench press, heavy as we can, drop down sets, and I did a lot of that.
Yeah.
I did a lot of that. And obviously like I got a good deadlift for my height.
Yeah.
And a really,
which is weird because you're tall, got short arms.
Yeah, very weird. My starting position is very knees over ankles, very quaddy, but I'm just really powerful in my ass, man. That's a fast runner, bro, growing up. Yeah.
Quick when you're young.
Yeah.
That's funny you should say that. So so you got a comp?
Next week.
Yeah, cool.
Hey, just a local comp down in Currumbin.
Nice.
But everyone's building towards that online stuff. So that starts in a month. So this is the high volume start of the season now. Like games athletes, you got to separate them because they peak at a later stage. They have to earn the right to go to the next stages as well. Like there's no free passing CrossFit.
That's cool.
Everybody does the community event, and that's what's kind of special. Is like I'm up against even Tia Toomey, mixed sex, who's the same. The best in the world. She's Australian. If you don't know who she is, look her up. Like she's the GOAT of CrossFit. She's won 6 times in a row. Then she didn't compete last year because she had a baby, and now she's coming back, and I think she just dominate like crazy. So she's a special athlete. She went to the Commonwealth Games, won gold medal weightlifting.
Right. I'll always say it, time and time again. Strong dudes are cool. But strong women is just even cooler.
So capable.
It's just so much harder.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And then, so that community event starts here next month. We do one workout every week for 3 weeks. We don't know what they are yet. Like they get announced on the day. So, and you've got 4 days to submit your score. Most of CrossFit gyms just program that as their classes.
Yeah.
And we get everybody to do it, but only the real keen will like register.
And do it properly,
yeah. And then after that, there'll be a 4-week break. And then after 4 weeks is the quarterfinals, which majority of athletes live at. It's very hard to go top 40 in our region to go to that next level, because we don't know the workouts.
Yeah.
So you could be so good at something I'm a strength athlete. I'm a high power output. So I want short workouts that are heavy, that are fast, that are on like rowers or bikes, or I want that type of stuff where I can use my power, where like a small guy doesn't want that. No. So a programming could have a bit of bias towards something. So you got to prepare for everything. So we do 4 to 6 workouts over 4 days. We don't know yet. Same again. It's that unknown element to our sport. And then, so that's the big weekend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've never gone to the semifinals as an individual, so it'd be nice to like building towards that.
How do you feel your chances are this year to get to the semifinals? You feeling pretty good, or?
It's the most I've put my effort into it. Okay. I didn't put my effort into it last year. Like I was training and having fun, but I was trying to put on weight to try and get strong. Like we spoke about before, you need a certain level of strength to partake at the top level and movement patterns. So I spent the year last year just not focusing on competing, doing strongman, getting my powerlifting numbers up, having fun, doing local comps, just bringing back a bit of enjoyment into my training. And then this is the first year. I haven't really publicly said anything, but I'm trying to have a real red hot crack.
Yeah, good on you, man. But you're still young too, because how old are you?
Just turned 27.
Yeah, you got ages, man.
Yeah.
And we don't really peak until our 30s for strength and fit. It just so happens that in rugby league and rugby union and contact sports, you just get beat up a lot from a young age.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you just said, you tapped out because of your head.
Yeah.
So yeah, That's cool, man.
It'd be cool, man. Like, I don't have ambitions. I don't have ambitions to go to the games. Like, it's a certain lifestyle, and I'm a coach as well, and you've got to step back and, like, if it happened, you'd ride the wave, but there's no money in CrossFit until you're at the top level.
Money in any strength sports until you're at the top level.
Yeah, and most of the time you're not even making money because of that sport. You're making money because you're big online, or you're a coach, or, you know, you're an influencer. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, 100%. So, if that's a byproduct of it, you ride that wave for a bit. But like, I have other ambitions later. Strength sports, have fun, and the type of training you need to love CrossFit to do it. Like, you're training 4 to 6 hours a day.
Shit.
Man, it's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. It's crazy.
Holy
crazy.
Fuck, I thought
because
2 hours was bad.
Nah, it's like the lifting now is you got to be good at it, and then you just got to maintain. Most of the day is spent doing muscular endurance, aerobic capacity, gymnastics training, stretching and accessories. By the time you warm up, do your first session, it's, you know, probably most CrossFitters are training twice a day, 2 hours in the morning, back at night, either doing conditioning and accessories, like a low impact session, or you might flip it, whatever. But you're probably only lifting weights like once a day. But the level of volume is crazy.
Wow, yeah.
You need to be good at anything because you don't know what's going to show up. And the dumbest things can show up. Like, you know,
or log press.
There you go, at an event. And usually that's stuff you see at in-person events where it's all fair, because like the online stuff gets very hard because you don't know who's cheating. You know, they tell you like the cameras are blurry, like, you know, there's all these ways to, but the in-person stuff is anything can pop up. Swimming, running, rowing.
Swimming?
Yeah, bro, swimming shows up.
Really?
If you're going to say you're fittest on earth, man, you better be able to swim.
That's true.
Yeah.
Bro, I suck at swimming.
Bro,
I went through the police recruit process last year, end of last year, and I had to learn how to swim again. It's only 100 meters, but fuck, man.
You serious?
I got brother.
Bro,
My legs.
Back from the police. I lost my license.
Me too.
I'm going again next year.
Possible ADHD.
Wow. You should have lied, man.
Yeah, I should have. But I don't know. Got bigger and better things. But yeah, I didn't know swimming was in CrossFit.
Yeah, swimming. Usually like local events that are near water. Yeah. But you won't do that on an online competition, obviously, because you can't film it. Like, so yeah, like the usual stuff we see online is stuff everybody can do in the gym. So it's like little equipment. So you got to earn your right to go to in-person. When you get to the in-person comps, you're up against legit athletes. Now they'll do legit tests. Like, that sounds bad, but like now you'll see the fun stuff that's cool and sexy online. But you need to have a level of, you know, fitness to be able to get there. Do you like the direction that CrossFit's going? Like, how do you feel about where it's going? It should. I think the sport needs to separate from training, the coaching, like the methodology, we would say. It should be its own entity. I'm a believer in, like, people don't believe in that. They think it should be one, but like people see the sport and those dickheads go, nah, you know, fuck CrossFit, it's bad, I don't want to do it, I'm going to hurt myself, or it's unachievable. Or I've had a shoulder surgery before, I'm never going to be able to do handstands. I hate that shit. You know, but people see that and they're put off it. Where realistically, like, and I'm biased because I am a coach, but CrossFit, I think, will change your life. CrossFit's like, it's.
If I wasn't powerlifting, I'd probably be doing CrossFit.
Or even a version of it, man. Like, just this capability of looking after your heart with metabolic conditioning and your lungs. You're looking after your body with lifting heavy weights or strength training. Heavy's relative, and then you're looking after your flexibility, mobility through gymnastics. So your ability to move your body weight, and more people doing that, the better.
And that's why we're in the space. Like that's why, especially why I'm in the space, because I want to make people healthy. I want to make people 100%. Strong, not just physically but mentally as well. Like, and any type of training, any type of sport requires a mental toughness. Like, there's days you're gonna not want to get out of bed and go, fuck this, man. I'm not gonna go down to the club and see Billy yell at me to do snatches. Like, he can go 100%. Fuck himself. But you go and you take your pre-workout, you have your food, and you go down and you feel better. They
teach you at level 1, like, the goal on anyone should be to increase your athleticism as much as you can. No matter where you're at in life. That should be your goal. And I've naturally adapted that mindset now too. Like, it doesn't matter if you've got 4 kids, a single mum, you're by yourself. If you're a dad working 2 jobs to support your family, your number 1 priority for yourself should be to maximize your athleticism. That looks different for everyone. For me, it's so I can beat you in a competition. For you, it's to lift as heaviest weight as possible and achieve where you want to. And that keeps you going, And I just say, like, find the most basic 3 tests. How many pull-ups can you do? what's your 3-rep max back squat? I love that. And then what's your 5K time?
Yeah.
If you just work on improving that throughout the year, you're doing CrossFit. You're doing a version of that.
Yeah.
And you'll become the fittest, best, healthiest, let alone the mindset benefits from it that you'll ever be.
And it'll take you, like, it carries over into your work life too. Like, when I started lifting weights and getting into my health and looking after myself more, I was in the mines.
Yeah.
I was a bricklayer first, then I was in the mines. And like, I was fat, I was obese, I was strong because obviously athletic, but like lifting weights as a kid and playing footy and stuff, but it goes way quicker than it takes to come. So it made work life easier. Like, I was running around the rig easier, I was lifting stuff easier. Like, I was going to sleep, having good quality sleep and stuff like that. So it fully carries over into everything outside of your life other than 100%. Just the gym. And I think people struggle to listen to people that like us say that, because you are a top athlete. We're both very competitive and we love it.
Yeah.
And to hear that, it's like, it's just a couple of meatheads telling us to get into the gym, but
and
it's not until they do it themselves.
That's why I say separate the sport from the training. You know, like, you could go, even right now in Queensland, you could go to any CrossFit gym and your likelihood of seeing a semi-final professional athlete is slim to none. Yeah. Like, it is so hard to find because it's so hard to make. Yeah. Yeah. And so 99% of people I deal with per day are general population who can't snatch, who can't clean and jerk, but we teach you how. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you start to look at health and fitness and training over decades. I want to be able to achieve that. Yeah. Like, we program for the best, scale for the rest in CrossFit, we say. Yeah, right. So we'll program ring muscle ups even to my class. But the likelihood of you doing a ring muscle up is so hard. So we teach you, okay, you're just going to do strict pull-ups. Yeah. You know, so that's the scaled version of that. And, okay, you can't do 10 strict pull-ups. We're going to work until you can. Yeah. You know, okay, you can't back squat 100 kilos. We're going to work till you can. Yeah. And then when you achieve these baseline stuff, it's almost like a promotion. We go, okay, let's try teach how to overhead squat. Yeah. You know, and
it's cool to see that stuff too. Like, we've touched on performance at World Gym, which is like our CrossFit at Coomera. And it's the loudest class all the time. And I love it when it's on because people are there just like, they want to do one kicking pull-up.
You know they want to be there too because it's hard.
It's hard. This shit's hard. Yeah. But they you hear all of them get behind each other and go, fuck yeah, you just did a kipping pull-up, or you've actually hit your muscle up, or you can do a strict pull-up. Or like,
and it's the element of CrossFit that we haven't even spoken about, that is community, man. Like you say, we know people who are 40 now still putting on rugby boots to go play. Yeah. Who know they're not going to be a professional anymore. Well, I hope so. Depends who you talk about. But meaning, like, the community element of CrossFit is the best because it's like, CrossFit's hard. It's not easy. But if you want to better your life, you do hard things. And if when you see someone else doing something hard, you want to get around them. Yeah. You know, and like when I say you want to be a national champ, I want to get around you now. Yeah. Like, you know, meaning like, I'm inspired by you. It's motivating. I'm going to be cheering for you and watching you on your stream when you pass out lifting 300 kilos. You know, like.
I'm not allowed to.
Yeah. But meaning like, I'm going to watch that. Yeah. You know, and that's that community aspect of CrossFit is. It's hard, really hard to find a dickhead in a CrossFit gym because it's hard training.
Yeah. It's when we talk about dickheads in sports, it's just the ones with the loudest voice. And that's so easy to get at the moment with social media and the internet. Like, back when I was young, like, there was no internet. Well, there was internet, but not like what it is today. Everything is online. Yeah. And I think that's why there are so many dickheads in sports, is because they have the loudest voice, which then generates traction, and then it gets pushed around and you can see it. And it's a detriment to all sports. Like, there's dickheads in powerlifting and strongman and CrossFit, gymnastics. And
lifting. A CrossFit is going to say powerlifting shit, and a powerlifter is going to say CrossFit shit. And that's the nature of social media, you know? And like, it's, at the end of the day, like, I always say, make your community small. Yeah. Like, reduce what you're taking in online, like, because it can be so toxic. Yeah. Because it's like that person saying that this is bad for you and this person saying that's bad for you. So what's right? They're both probably right. Yeah. They're both probably wrong. Like, just do what you're good at and what makes you happy and stick to it, man.
And what you enjoy. And
100%.
I say that to everyone. Like, I don't take on anyone and everyone in my coaching business because you're not going to do it if you don't want it.
100%.
And I don't want you there because that's wasting your time and money and wasting my time. Where 100%. I could have someone in that business who wants to be there and wants to do what I'm teaching. So
if you're a PT, don't take anyone on that doesn't buy like a 10-week pack.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a very quick way to audit. I find someone who's just like going to mess you around one day, 1 week, and then the first time they don't show up, you charge them, and I guarantee that will change their mindset on it.
Yeah.
You know, as a coach as well.
Mine are
like,
all on direct debit.
There you go. You know, yeah. So, and like, it's like, I've had people who sign a contract for 12 weeks with me as a PT because I'm like, I need to know that you're invested into this. Because I'm not going to sit here on a Sunday or whenever and do 4 hours of programming for your 12 weeks if you're just going to bail after 2 weeks in.
Yeah.
Like there's at least a financial commitment as well to your coach, a level of respect.
Yeah. And that's huge because like I just said, you don't want to waste a spot on someone that's, where you could get someone that goes, I really want to better my life. I'm walking around now. My back hurts. My missus doesn't find me attractive anymore. I want to feel better about myself. So they're going to commit to that 12 weeks, no matter how hard it feels or how hard it seems. They're going to, and that's what we want as coaches is end of that 12 weeks, that person turns around and goes, fuck Billy, thanks man for making me do that. The missus loves me now. She can't keep my hands off me. I'm walking into work. People are going, fuck, you're looking good. Like it's the best. This is the best job in the world. Like to have that feeling.
Yeah, it's an underrated job. Just like you said, because and like any job, there's bad teachers out there. There's bad first responders, police officers, whatever. Any job you can think of, there'll be dickheads. Yeah. But like, you know, there's people in our industry who move the needle the wrong way.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they say things they shouldn't say, or they're in it for themselves or to make money. But when you find a genuine coach, and commit to, because a coach will be able to connect more with you when you give them more of your time.
Yeah,
when you put more into us, we can put more into you, and we'll get to know you more. We'll know that you haven't, you know, had sex with your missus in 6 weeks, and because you know she doesn't want to lift up your midriff.
Yeah,
you know, we'll know that, and we can inspire you
to change that
100%. Yeah. And if you're not going to give a coach time to build that relationship with, you're never going to get better.
No. Yeah. And they're the people that are always stuck in that cycle. Their motivation spikes. They go to the gym, they sign up, they see a PT, go, oh, that's a bit too expensive. Oh, no, I know enough. I've been around the traps, blah, blah, blah. Fall off the wagon, get fatter, and just keep doing that perpetual cycle. And it's shit to see because, like,
something needs to change.
Yeah, but you can't force them to do it. And it sucks. Like, there's sometimes I just want to shake people and go, oi, you need to fucking do this.
Yeah.
Because it's going to change your life completely. And they still don't, and you're just like, I'm not going to force you to do it. Like,
if you want to change, you got to want it yourself.
Exactly.
That's the first thing that comes into it.
So I'm still trying to understand the CrossFit competition schedule. So you've got this community one next week.
So community one, just like a local one. So it might be like a gym. So it's at CrossFit Currumbin.
Yep.
So they put up a comp. People pay Rego. It's actually a really good way for affiliates to make some extra money throughout the year too, so you know it's good because that might be the money they put it back into the gym to fix up their bikes or whatever. Some of them give out prize money, so like they'll attract bigger names, and then it's local events like this are really good too because people who aren't going to the games can do it.
Yeah, right.
And there's, you know, usually games athletes aren't coming to these local comps, they're going to the big ones, and it's good because it gives your everyday gym goer something to work for.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like so many people these days, they just train with no end goal.
Yeah.
Like what we're talking about. So if you set a goal. So local comp next week down in Currumbin, and then 4 weeks the worldwide CrossFit season starts.
So that's when everything ramps up.
Everything ramps up.
Yeah.
So and most athletes in the sport now, that the training now is starting to ramp up.
Yeah, cool.
You know,
is that why you've been jumping in the ice bath every day, or is that just something that you wanted to do?
No, when I was like, I finished my comp last year in December. I misperformed at the competition on day 2, so it was a 3-day comp.
Yeah,
we had 6 or 7 events. And competitions are so valuable for athletes because you find out, same as with any comps, any sport, you find out the most about yourself when you're competing.
Yeah.
You find out what you suck at.
Yeah.
You know, like what you said, you misprepared before your bench press. I guarantee you're not going to misprepare next comp. Yeah. And if you don't, you know, you're done. You fool you twice, you know. So I messed up on specifically like my overhead mobility, and I got exposed on 2 events. I felt like I left down my team, and so I was like, I need to focus on certain aspects if I want to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And some of that was my preparation behind the scene as well.
Yeah.
Like day 1, we had this crazy amount of volume and my shoulders tightened up and I didn't recover the best. And so therefore, day 2, when I had overhead squats, I wasn't in the optimal position. I got exposed and it was embarrassing, man. Like in a live stream with 10,000 people watching, the stadium was close to being packed in Wollongong. My family's watching, like, and my whole team's waiting for me. Like the workout was like an Indian file, like I complete the work, then he completes the work, and then the third, and I was the first up, and I just got exposed, man, and it was embarrassing, and I was like, I'm never gonna be in this situation again. So
that's that athlete mindset though, because I was the same. When that bench press didn't go, I was like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Like I walked off the platform, walked out the back, and in my head, coach was like, it just wasn't there. Like,
yeah.
But I knew exactly why.
The first thing I did was I didn't know. I've never had a proper CrossFit coach because I'm a coach myself. You know, I'm going to program, and I'm humble enough when I program now. I'm humble enough now, coincidentally, to program the things I'm not good at.
Yep.
I was always in my comfort zone before.
Yeah.
So part of that was I need to have a set plan for my recovery.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, it's all over social media. Let's do these ice baths. And I was like, I'm going to make a commitment. I'll do one every day for at least 6 months.
Yep.
And I'll keep in mind the benefits.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to know by some old mate online who's sponsored by this company is telling you to get an ice bath.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to try this myself.
Yeah.
So I bought a chest freezer, siliconed it up. Bo helped me with it.
Yeah.
And then, it's been pretty good, man.
Yeah. I love ice baths, man. There's a recovery center about 10 minutes from here that I go to most Sundays.
Yeah.
And I love them.
Yeah.
I love how I feel the next day. I feel refreshed. I feel rejuvenated. I brought one of those new recover ones. Have you seen the plastic ones that come around?
Yeah.
It's good, but I'm just too big. Like getting in it, like you'd struggle because you're so tall. Because I'm so wide, it just like I can get my shoulders down, but it's just uncomfortable. They give you a 96 cube ice trays, like so 2 of those, so it's like 192 ice trays. It's just not enough.
Buy the chest freezer. Man.
Yeah, well, I had that one, but that's way too small.
No, you're not fit.
I'm not fit.
That was the one I that size I started in.
Yeah.
And then like my boss in Brizzy, he was like, I got one at home, just collect and dust, have it. And it was the one I have now.
Yeah, that's sick.
I do it right before I train, bro.
Yeah, really.
Crazy, man. I read this thing online. I mean, everyone's heard of Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
If you haven't, watch his stuff. It's so yeah, he's like, do it just before and warm up naturally. Start your stretching or dynamic warm up, whatever you do for your warm up, and just get into it.
Get in the basket.
I'm up pretty early, so I don't do it in the mornings at 3:30, 4 a.m. when I wake up for work. But like when I come back from my afternoon session, before that, I'll plunge 3 minutes, close, get dressed, straight to the gym, warm up, man. And my niggles, I feel like my niggles in my body. If you're training hard, you're gonna have niggles. The niggles gone. Like I feel like lubed up with my knees and my ankles and just like those areas.
Well, because the benefits of it are one of the biggest ones is it constricts your blood flow, so that when you get warm again, it pushes all the blood through.
Man,
the good blood.
I think, that stuff's hard. Like you don't know the direct benefits from that.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like you got to be very switched on with your body to know that.
Yeah. Well, I can feel it when I go to like it's sports recovery center in Runaway Bay.
Yeah.
When you go from the cold to the hot, I can feel it.
That.
You can feel it, and that's the blood going through. Like
I find the adrenaline spike, man.
Yeah.
And the like, even the mindset from it. You complete something hard, it like sets the tone for the day, bro, or the session or whatever it is. Wakes me up, man. I'm like, I feel good. I'm not sponsored, man. I'm not making a cent from this. I'm just saying, like the first time I hopped in an ice bath under 5 degrees, 24 seconds, little bitch, man.
Yeah, that's probably the same.
Bro, my pregnant missus put her feet in and stood there for a minute, and I was like, I don't feel like a man. I was like, damn. After a week, literally a week, 3 minutes under 5 degrees. And every day I just do that. I don't go anymore. I don't try and push the boundaries of it because I know like it's still pretty harsh and intense on the body. Yeah. But like I've seen
4 minutes.
Pardon?
4 minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes. Yeah. No, I'm seeing huge benefit, bro.
Yeah, you're feeling happy.
Yeah.
So every day for 6 months,
I'll do it. Yeah. Yeah. Like the chest freeze is hard because you got to clean it, and you know, like I feel like I'll give out there before I give out from doing
actually
it.
doing it.
Yeah. But like it was just good. I just knew that if I wanted to be better, I train hard. I work hard when I'm in the gym, and we were just talking about this before with certain sports. Everybody trains hard though.
Yeah.
Everybody's ripping in. Everybody's on a half decent program.
Yeah.
Like everybody who wants it is training hard.
Yeah.
So like you got to find those small things that separate you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, your food, your recovery, your sleep, like, and it's so cliche to say, and everybody says it all the time, but how many top people in any chosen sport say it's not about when you're training, it's about the other, auditing your life around that to find out, is this thing actually taking me closer towards my goal?
Yeah.
And if it's not, get rid of it.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've learned over the past few months as well. I've done the exact same, auditing people, auditing what I do.
Yeah.
Like food-wise, I've changed up my whole, because I was still slightly in the starting strongman mindset of like sugar. So like before I train, I'd have a high sugar, high carb meal.
Yeah.
Before I train for powerlifting, I'd have a Maximus while I train instead of just getting a carbohydrate powder and some BCAAs just for the taste. I've changed all that, and now I feel way better. Like I'm in a massive calorie deficit, so I'm hungry, and training has started to take a hit because it's been like 12 weeks. But when I first started, I felt great. Like the change in just those little things, and then making sure I get 7 hours minimum in bed is so crazy. It's so crazy. But
hard as a coach too, man, because the first thing we're usually up pretty early, and the first thing we do in the morning is give our energy to someone else.
Yeah. So
like I think even more important and most aspiring athletes in my sport are coaches.
Yeah.
Because they're just living that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I find like you got to be even more dialed in with your mindset because of that.
I actually changed that around a bit because so from here to work for me, I go straight past Oxenford Lake.
Yeah.
And I'll walk that.
Nice.
So I had to change. I had to go to bed earlier so I could wake up earlier so I could walk the lake.
Yeah.
And like my clients know if I don't make it to the lake because my whole day's ruined.
Mood shifted.
Yeah,
100%.
And because like obviously it's outdoors, it's nice, it's a beautiful walk. Gets my cardio in, gets my steps up for the day. Like it's a good way to
put you first day. Yeah. See, like so my arrival time is 4:30 in Brizzy.
That's
so it's a half an hour drive for me. So like my first thing was no music in the morning. Like it's all I can do, man. So it's just like you know when you're at the gym, it's blasting. It's old mates playlist who probably listening to songs you don't like and whatever it is. And so I'm like half an hour, ditch the music, just me, so I can actually put myself first. And then it's actually helped. And then even when I first arrive, it's usually I turn the lights on, set everything up for the day. Now I do like members will come in, and with CrossFit, mobility is a big thing. So they'll stretch before classes. Yeah. So I'll stretch as well with them. So I'm like, okay, I've now got 2 wins for the day. And now I've got, 4 or 5 classes back to back to back. So 4 to 5 hours of just 20 people, bang, they're in 20 people. And the thing with CrossFit is it's where it separates from like an F45 or a BFT or a group training class. You have to coach CrossFit if you're a coach. Yeah. Like you are not just sitting back going, all right, guys,
10 more.
Yeah, high knees, whatever. I'm counting your reps. There's none of that.
Yeah.
A CrossFit class is actually extremely relaxed when you come in. Yeah. We don't lay your weights out for you. You go do it. You're adults. Yeah. But when you're bar in hand, you will have a coach's eyes on you, watching every minute detail. Yeah. And that's what separates good CrossFit gyms from bad. Because you could just come in, all right, 4 rounds, 500 meter row, 10 burpees, 15 kettlebell swings. Yeah. Boring. Like, the coach just does it. Yeah. But even if we program that, before the class, we're teaching you how to hinge again. We're teaching you how to use your glutes. We're teaching when you burpee, how to not arch your back. All this shit like this.
Yeah. So, that's awesome, man. We've been going for nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, bro.
What time do you have to get it?
Soon. What's the time?
12.
Yeah.
So I like to end with a tip for new coaches and a tip for new athletes, and then just a quote. So do that in any order that you want.
Damn.
They've said a lot of good stuff. There's a lot of good clips in this.
Yeah, we podcast once a month at our CrossFit gym.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's on YouTube. It's for our members and anyone else listens, but most of our diehard members listen to it.
That's sick.
It's good. Tips for a new coach. Real world experience is more important than
certificates.
knowledge. I don't care if you read a book. Connect with your member, like your client. It's the most important thing, hands down. Even if you give them something wrong to do, if they believe in you, they'll do it well.
Yeah.
You know, like, so connecting and getting out on the gym floor is the most important thing. You'll learn more there than any Cert 3, 4, ASOS, CrossFit level 1, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So more practical hours is important. For a new athlete, I said it before, leave your ego at the door. Yeah. Like, be open-minded to trust your coach. And if they pull you back to a broomstick or a PVC pipe, if they pull you back to 5 kilo plates on each side, listen to them and be willing to learn. Think of fitness as decades, not months, not a 12-week challenge. It's a life challenge, you know? My quote. Oh my God. I'll give you a quote from an athlete perspective. So win because you're determined and disciplined, not because you feel superior to others. Yeah. And that's from a game called God of War. Kratos gives that. I like that. Like, that sits with me well.
That's a cool one.
Win because you made the decisions to win. Don't win because someone else messed up. So take away that element of, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. You control what you can do and the controllables.
That's awesome. Yeah. I played God of War, so I fucking love that quote. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Tell everyone where you can find you and.
I don't even know my Instagram handle, bro.
Pretty sure it's Billy.
Billy Gray. Yeah, you'll find me.
Yeah,
Redhead with a beard. Yeah, Billy Gray. Find a CrossFit gym. If you're lost in life, line yourself with a good coach. But if you can't do that, walk into a CrossFit gym. The founder of CrossFit, his name's Greg Glassman, and he says to people, write down a goal, go to a CrossFit gym, and after 3 months, I guarantee you can achieve that goal. Whether it's, I want to be a better husband, I want a promotion at work. CrossFit's hard training, but it's necessary training for physical preparedness and mental preparedness in life. It's changed my life. I met my family. It's got my career. I'll always work in a CrossFit gym. And if you can't do that, go find a coach and align yourself with a good mentor. Because health and fitness for me is the journey to enlightenment through hard work, through breathing, and through actually doing, like, actually setting goals and achieving them. You can learn so much. So that's
awesome. Well, thanks again for making the trip down and my drink. And
anytime, bro.
I'm excited to hopefully see you go to semi-finals this year. I'll be cheering from maybe in person, depending where we are.
It's in Brizzy, so hopefully, if it is,
if not, I'll watch it on on the live stream. But thanks again, man. It's been cool. Awesome.
Appreciate it, mate. Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Behind the Chalk Bowl podcast. If you did like it, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave us a lovely review. And if you didn't like it, still leave a review and say it with your chest. Have a lovely day.